Okay. It is now 5 o'clock, so we'll call this meeting to order, and we'll have a roll call, please.
Johnny Johnston?
Here.
Russ Bagley?
Here.
Jim Finch?
Here.
And sitting in for Dan Breen, Peter Thilke.
Here.
All right. Let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll move on to item 3, which is director announcements and reports from the mutuals. Does the Peter have anything to report?
I have I'm the president of Senior Canyon Mutual Water Company, in case some of you don't know that. And I thought I would give a little report on our little company and where we are, if that's okay with everybody.
It's okay.
The fire hit us hard. We were out of commission. We were not producing any water from the 5th of December to the 6th of March. Parts of our pipeline were PVC. They melted. Our control system at our filter station, the SCADA system, was destroyed. We lost all our tool shed equipment and whatnot. Probably about $300,000 in losses. We're now producing water again. We are still navigating the insurance and FEMA claims, pretty much getting back, hopefully, to some point of normalcy again. At Senior Canyon, we developed a strategy a couple years ago to address the drought. Our priority had been to develop a new tank at the Thatcher School. It's our main storage tank, which was very much undersized and old and leaking. And we instead devoted our energy to supply and trying to maximize our supply, both by looking at how we were producing water and using our water more efficiently, and by developing some new sources of water. Last September, we drilled 2 new wells. They were outside the basin. They were in fractured rock. And those were completed. The water quality from those 2 wells looks promising. The quantity of the wells was, not overwhelming, but probably could supply us with maybe 20-25% of our demand, which is pretty good for a little company. Those wells, the fire hit when we were in the process of developing those wells. So, thanks, Russ. Sure. So we are just now getting back into it. First of all, we have to get power from Edison up to the well sites, get the voltage changed, that kind of thing, that takes time and patience. After the 2 new wells will be going into our potable system, we then will sort of target our energy to renovation of the tunnel, which was a stated goal in the Casitas document, a few years ago, about ways we can help the valley, help the lake, and help ourselves. Our plan for the tunnel is to do kind of a modified beginning where we would go in about 750 feet, where cleaning out the tunnel, sealing the floor of the tunnel, and drilling boreholes into the walls, floor, and ceiling of the tunnel, as James Scott advocated, mining engineer, geologist, rock star, by the way, Hall of Fame geologist, advocated in 1995 for us. So at that point, when we make those boreholes, which will be about 1 inch or 1.5 inches in diameter, probably going back 20 or 30 feet, we'll see what we get. If we increase our flow even moderately to, say, 10 gallons a minute even, that will provide the rationale for us to go further in. To go further into the tunnel, we will have to put in a bunch of money into stabilizing the crown or ceiling of the tunnel, because the timbers holding that structure up, the ceiling up, are pretty rotten. And so we'll have to do that first and then go back further into the tunnel. The main gusher at the tunnel in 1929 was at 1,580 feet in. So that's where you can see water coming in. Certainly the most of it's coming in now. But anyway, we're going to go to 750. We think we can clean that out cheaply, or relatively cheaply. We think we can seal the floor, the trough of the tunnel, drill those boreholes, see what happens, and then if it's a positive result, we will look for more money to go further in. After that, hopefully, our energy will go back to getting a new tank at Thatcher School, which will really help with fire considerations and ability to only pump water, during the off-peak hours, which will save us a lot of money. The last thing I just wanted to mention is that when the fire hit, it completely ravaged Senior Canyon. And one interesting thing was how you could see things that we never could see before. And I just mentioned to Russ, and I'll repeat it, is that we found a pipeline up there which was about 2 inches in diameter, which went back about 2 miles, and it must have been put in 1918, 1925, the very earliest people in the valley who were 4 or 5 ranchers out in the east and trying to, grow some avocados and citrus. We followed that pipe back there, all the way back, and found that it came from a spring, probably producing estimated 50 to 70 gallons a minute. That water goes all the way down a couple miles to one of our pickups called the West Fork pickups. Nobody knew where that water came from before. And now we know it's where it's coming from. It's coming from a spring, it's coming out of rocks. Okay? The other main surface pickup for us was the North Fork of Senior Canyon Creek. That, I went back there personally a couple months ago, and once again we found the spot where the creek was producing 300 or 400 gallons a minute, and then there was nothing. And that was where, obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but I think there was another spring located. The tunnel can also be looked at as a spring. You have inside the tunnel, you have water coming through the walls, the floors, the ceiling of the tunnel. The minimum historical flow has been 60 gallons a minute, the minimum, and it produces as much as 300 or 400 gallons a minute when there's been rain. So anyway, that revealed to us that these sources are not, necessarily dependent on rainfall, although rainfall certainly augments their flow. Anyway, we're getting our feet back, under us as, recovering from the fire. And we are looking at all options and possibilities for increasing our supply in other areas, which I won't go into now. But that's kind of it. And we've sort of recovered from the big hit, and now we're going on to the next phase of getting the company back together.
So we can safely say that Senior Canyon Mutual Water Company is back.
I think we never really left, but we are back in that we are producing water. We're starting to function normally again. We're starting to and we've got a very I think a very wonderful board, very cooperative and hardworking, and that really helps.
Okay, Jim, is there anything from OWCD?
Yeah, we met today, and the main topic is we received notice, I think as did 25 other agencies or district in the Ventura County from the grand jury, that they don't like the way that our elections have been done, and we're good on publicizing our meetings and some of that stuff. I think Casitas is listed, as is Miners Oaks and some other things. We feel we're in pretty good shape, but there are technicalities that we're going to look into, and so that's more to come.
Okay, so the grand jury report, I didn't even know it was out. I read something about dam safety in the grand jury report.
No, this is really about a lot of election, publicizing meetings, publicizing reserve policy, written reserve policy.
Oh, terrific. So we're all in trouble, right?
Yeah, I mean, from the Piru, off the top of my head, Bardesdale Cemetery District, Piru Cemetery District, Casitas, Miners Oaks, you know, Simi Valley Parks and Rec.
Fox
Lots of little districts and a few big ones.
Yeah.
One of the things is that we just haven't had these open elections, but we do have elections, but when only one person is running, the election board does not publish a name because there's only one person.
Right.
You don't have a choice. So that's one of the things that I think we've got to clarify. And even then, we've been twisting arms to get one person into a slot. So I think there's a little clarification, and maybe updating of the website was legitimate and some of the other stuff.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm sure glad to hear that Casitas is in trouble again.
You only had three things,
okay.
deficiencies.
All right, well, I'll find out. City of Ojai, anything to report?
Well, the city, trying to figure out what their role in all this is, and not having just a couple people define it. They agreed to spend $15,000 as a first, a three-step kind of exploration or evaluation of alternative methods for, I guess, the slow it, spread it, sink it approach to, you know, improving the groundwater.
That's a valuable thing to do, and I'm glad the city's doing it. Thank
Well,
you.
we're doing the first piece, and we're supposed to get a report back, I think, in late June or July, that based on that, that would be step two is going to require like $35,000, where I'll be going around passing a hat if it looks like it's something we can sell
Well,
to other people. And it's basically a $100,000 effort, but it's, you know, long-term. There's not going to produce any water immediately, but, you know, our heart's in the right place.
That's right. And so you should also bring that to OBGMA. I think we already decided that we would like to partner.
Okay, well, as soon as they size this up and show who the
Yeah.
beneficiaries are, then I'm going to go around and pay a call on everybody and see what they think.
Well, I've been talking to Watershed Protection District for years and years and years about a partnership for changing the concrete bottoms of barrancas to soft bottoms to increase percolation over the basin, and changing the way they utilize their detention basins as more of a percolation basin. But that all takes money, and they haven't done it yet.
Yeah, well, our conversation sort of gravitated around the watershed, because it seems logical that the watershed would be doing this. On the other hand, like you say, it takes money, so somebody had to step forward and see if we could persuade other people that it was, you know, it's like putting together a budget for a film idea, you know. The initial money is difficult to raise after you get some kind of.
I would suggest you concentrate on your physical boundaries up there on the hillsides up there. If you've got anything that's in a contour, you can dig a ditch and save the water.
Yeah, well, that they're supposed to come back with a survey, and then I think the next piece of this, they should give us the kind of information that would allow us to invite other people to the party that would say, this
Right.
is how you would benefit, so.
Okay. All right, Casitas Municipal Water District, I will report on the lake level. It is at 34.7% today. The elevation is 489.47 feet, which translates into 82,500 acre feet in the lake. Did Mike Flood send you the other information? Okay, good. I won't go over that, it's in your report.
Is that a net, or is that the original capacity,
What do you mean?
the silt? The silt?
No, I didn't mention silt.
I'm
There's
just
a,
saying, is this is the calculation?
oh, yeah,
that
this is
factored
from
that in?
the new calculations,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
We don't use the old ones anymore at all. All right, basin status report. You'll notice that Jordan Cure is not here. He gave me a short and concise report over the phone, which I will give to you right now. He said that flow across the basin has ceased. The basin hit its peak in mid-April and has started to decline. The basin capacity right now is at 63 to 67%. There you have it. Any questions?
And that represents how much water in his estimate?
I didn't ask him that.
Okay.
You want his phone number?
Russ, I had one question on your previous report.
Yeah.
Is the water still coming through Santa Ana and Coyote Creek? Any of that water still running into the lake?
I think it's not anymore. It may have stopped a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, public comments. Carol, you're the only public here. Would you like to talk?
Mr. Chairman, we don't have an item on the agenda for this, but I'd like to make a comment, see if it's something the board would like to have me bring back at the next meeting. Just briefly, there's a couple of years ago, I put together this work plan
Mm-hmm.
for OBGMA, and I'd like to have a time to polish this up and clean it up and bring it back to the board at a subsequent agenda and have you give me some feedback on what areas you'd like me to stay focused on.
I would like that. And actually, along with that idea, after the director announcements or reports, let's put a new item on the agenda for the general manager report. Okay? Since we have one, let's use him.
Got it.
Okay, yes, we will put that on. You'll let
Yeah, I think it's
CC
good.
know what the title of the slug line is, okay?
Yeah, and I'd like to include certainly not only work that I would be focused on, but kind of what Jordan and I would accomplish if there's something Peter needs to be involved in.
Yeah, no, we're definitely gonna get the ad hoc committee together to try to finish up the groundwater management plan by June. Okay, let's see, consent items. We have the minutes and the treasurer's report.
You want a motion?
I do.
Okay, I move they be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Johnny Johnston,
Yes.
Russ Baggerly,
Yes.
Peter Thielke,
Yes.
Jim Finch.
Yes.
Thank you. For the action items, item A, 7A is the Water Supply and Water Quality Act of 2018. John, did you want to talk to this?
Just briefly, I'd put a memorandum in your packet, just giving you an overview of what this is about. Some of you were not here at the meeting when Mateo Crow attended and gave us an overview of this water bond that's coming up in November. We also have a water bond next month as well, so there's two this year. And so the board had indicated that they may wish to support this at some future date, and so since we're getting close toward the November timeframe, and Mr. Crow is asking if the agency wants to have their name listed as a supporter to the water bond, I brought it forward for your consideration tonight.
You see any problems with it, John?
No, I've looked over it. It covers a lot of area, and there's certainly money in the bond for groundwater management agencies.
Sigma,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'd move support of it.
Good.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Let's have a roll call, please.
Who's second?
Johnny?
Johnny Johnston,
Yes.
Russ Baggerly,
Yes.
Peter Thielke,
Yes.
Jim Finch.
Yes.
And if you notice, behind my memorandum was a suggested support letter. And so relatively short, but, so
That's all you need.
once that's signed, we'll get it off to Mateo. Have CC send it off to that address, you should be fine.
How long is Dan going to be in Narlands?
He'll be here next month.
Okay. Well,
But,
no, but if you need a signature, I can sign for him.
that's what
Yeah.
John said. You can sign.
Sign your name
Okay.
and just say for.
Yeah. All right. 7B is the Ventura River Watershed Coordinator position. And obviously, they're going to be asking for some money. And did they combine Ohio Water Conservation District and us together?
No, that's a different.
Different one?
contribution.
Okay. Oh, yeah, watershed coordinator, all right. Well, should we have OWCD and OBGMA together?
OWCD had a contribution.
They did.
Yes, theirs was,
They're done.
theirs is on here as $400.
Okay. Well, I tried to save you some money there, Jim, but guess not. Pleasure of the board?
I thought you were trying to double me up.
Yeah, that's.
Depends which way you want to look at it.
No. I was gonna just say, let's do it together. So, okay, pleasure of the board, $1,300 for the watershed coordinator position. It's a part-time position. It's being shared with Casitas and the Ventura River Watershed Council. This is to pay for Po Chi Fung as the watershed coordinator for Ventura River Watershed. Now, let me tell you, she's doing a great job. We should be glad we have her.
Yeah, I would like to suggest next time probably should have looked at this a little closer, that the agenda clearly outlines what the recommended level of support would be. Ultimately, that helps the public understand what you're voting on.
Okay, we'll do that next time. Pleasure of the board.
So move for 1,300.
Thank you. Second?
What does the coordinator do?
Sets up all the meetings, coordinates action items, what do they call it? They call them campaigns for the Ventura River Watershed Council. And it's not an easy job. We have a lot of members for the Watershed Council, and it's very informative and very useful for people in the watershed to understand what's going on a broad spectrum of issues.
And the cost is this an annual cost that we're looking at?
Yes.
Is it 1,300?
Yep.
Do we have a motion?
We have a motion, we don't have a second yet.
Okay, I'll second it.
We have a roll call, please.
So I have one more question, though.
Okay.
This exists now?
Yes, the Watershed Council's been going for 10, oh no, 10
Well,
is,
Is this just a pro rata share, or is this something new that a cost shift from?
it is something new. We did have a watershed coordinator that was funded by a grant, and the grant ran out, and Elaine, not Elaine,
Well, you
yeah,
can
Elaine
see
Walker,
but you can see the previous 2 years, we've been in at 1,300,
right.
the same.
Yeah.
This
okay.
is a new concept of part-time for the watershed coordinator and part-time for Casitas. Casitas is picking up part of the cost.
Okay, so you are recommending this, Russ?
Yes,
Okay,
definitely.
okay.
Director Johnston,
Yes.
Director Baggerly,
Yes.
Director Filkey,
Yes.
Director Finch.
Yes.
Item 8 are related to informational items. I will go through item A, update on the groundwater management plan. It's not complete yet. We will try to bring it back to you in June. And the new office location is self-evident. Any questions?
I would suggest that on future addendas, on your second, I think it's your second page, we should put the actual location address of the agency in addition to the post office box.
Yeah,
This
Good idea.
one titled Ohio Basin.
With the
Yeah, I would
directors
put
on
the
that. Thank you.
physical address on that as well.
Oh, okay.
Have we heard anything from the state on the sustainable plan or the exemption or whatever we call it?
A very loud silence. We haven't heard a thing. They have 2 years to approve it. When's that?
Well, I went to a workshop session out in Satakoy here, a month or so ago, and they said they were gonna start trying to get something out later this year. So, I mean, it wasn't definitive about dates, but, and usually because I set up through the process of filing the documents and the notifications, I get a notification from them via email if there's any work that's progressed on that item.
So silence is no work progressed, is that?
Well, I think they're working on it, they're just not letting us know where they're at.
Okay, well, that's,
But apparently they filed quite a few, alternatives have been filed across the state.
28.
But I believe the 2-year deadline is coming up at the end of this year.
It is.
Yeah, so consistent with the way that state agencies work, they'll push it right up to the end.
So if we get shortchanged and they make us do a groundwater sustainability plan, this new bond better pass.
Well, and the question I have
get some money out of it.
is OBGMA gonna be still tied to the 2022 timeframe to get that complete?
Probably.
Because this has caused you to lose a year or so, almost 2 years through this
It's
process.
caused us to lose a year, but we really have. Because of what we have so much of it.
We do. I agree, Jim.
That it's really just, I mean, we're starting off
Yeah.
on the 8th inning in comparison to so many.
Agreed.
Right.
It's just that the area that's gonna take a lot of work is you're gonna have to address climate change, and you're gonna have to address impacts on habitat. And so those
The
are.
first one's a boilerplate answer that applies in most of them.
We're going to adapt. That's
I mean,
all
there's
you can do.
nothing- There's nothing specific to Ojai that's,
That's true.
And we don't have any big announcements to make on
Well,
our
no,
findings
there-
regarding the climate change?
There is. I mean, the fires are going to increase, the drought's going to be sporadic, and the flooding is going to be more intense.
no, I will disagree with you on your first point, because after a El Nino year, the fire department comes on and says it's gonna be a bad fire year because so much grass has grown.
Yeah.
In a drought, they come on and say it's gonna be a bad fire year because the grass hasn't grown and it's dry. So you cannot say that one is worse than the other.
You can't.
You can say every year will be a bad fire year.
I don't disagree with you on that statement.
Right, yeah, you're
True. You're absolutely right. Okay.
Just to answer John's question, there's nothing in the FEMA statute at this point in time that postpones the deadline beyond 2022 for any agencies whatsoever, even if, you tried to go under the alternative demonstration and then were rejected. So as it stands, that would be the deadline.
And the remedy is what?
The remedy
Get it
is
in.
to get to work and get a groundwater sustainability plan in place if the
I'm saying if we
alternative
miss the
demonstration
deadline,
is
the remedy
rejected.
is what for whoever is,
Well, the interesting point about that is, one of the folks from the state board who was at this workshop said, if groundwater management agencies fail to meet these deadlines, the state has the ability to take it over and do the work, but they don't want to keep the agency, they want to turn it back. So maybe that's an option. Let them pay for it.
Yeah, there's a whole probationary period built into the statute if you don't get your GSP submitted on time, and when the state takes over, they do so under, this probation procedure. It's all laid out, but I don't see that as a problem necessarily. I think we could get our plan done if
But-
we needed to.
When I was in Sacramento in April, that we were with DWR and asked that question. And this was a lot of the Porterville, Woodlake, the group I was with. And basically it sounded like even if you submitted a deficient one, they'd almost like grade your paper and hand it back to you
yeah, make these corrections.
and make these corrections.
Yeah, and that's pretty standard. In 1985, when The state passed a bill that requires water agencies to put out their water report every 5 years. That's essentially the process they've taken ever since 1985. They look
Or
at
the
your plan, they
Urban
give
Water Management
urban
Plan?
water management plan, and they give you comments and tell you got to correct it. And
Yeah, we just don't forget to put our name at the top of the paper, and we
Right.
can't fail, we just be told to work harder.
Okay, there is nothing else to review on this agenda, so we are adjourned at 5:30.
I think it's worth noting that you're a much better president. You're done in half an hour.
Way to go, Russ.
Way to go.
I've done this a lot, Jim.
Russ, who is Casitas's attorney of counsel or whatever for, is it still John, or who did you guys switch to?